We're joined now by two guests, April Winter and Vicki Barber. Our guests have personal experience having gone through a divorce through the collaborative process. Vicki has a daughter, 19, has been divorced about 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And April has two boys.
Two boys.
How old are they?
14 and 12.
And you got divorced about 4 years ago.
4 years, yes.
And each of you went through the experience through the collaborative process. So for people who have not had to go through the experience, but might have to go through divorce, who are wondering about what this experience is like, let me ask a few questions. First of all, Vicki, how did you find out about collaborative law?
Well, my ex-husband and I went online and found out that how much easier and it was with children involved, because our main goal was to make sure that we made sure that our daughter was not taken through the ringer through the divorce process. And we didn't want to be taken through the ringer and be enemies through the divorce process, because we knew that years down the road we would always be intertwined with each other because of our daughter. So looking this up in the internet and finding out what it was all about seemed like it was the easiest road to take.
Now, did you pause and think, well, if I go to a lawyer to litigate the case and I just tell the lawyer we want to try to do minimum damage, did you consider that as an alternative, or was this something that the two of you wanted to do?
We talked about it at the beginning, but again, we felt that we were going to do more damage to each other and to our daughter because of the horror stories we had heard about in the court system and what happens in the court system, and we didn't want that for our daughter.
Now, the collaborative model, as we've heard on previous segments, in its classic fashion, has a team process. And April, I believe you went through a collaborative case that had a full team.
Yes, I did.
You had a child specialist and a financial specialist.
Yes.
And you had coaches, one for each of you and your husband.
Yes.
And when you went through the collaborative process, my understanding, Vicki, is that you did not have the coaches involved.
No, we didn't.
Okay. Did you feel that you were able to go through the process, Vicki, without having the coaches? Did you feel confident that as you went through the process, your needs were being met, that you were getting said what had to be said?
Yes, because he and I were able to talk together outside the attorney's office. And then when we went there with our joint concerns, both of our attorneys were there at the same time, and we were able to ask them certain questions, and we knew that we were getting positive feedback, right answers that we were looking for.
What would you say, April, the benefit was of having other professionals involved in the process?
The biggest benefit is that everybody is in constant communication, so therefore we're always on the same page. Everybody is constantly on the same page, which really helps.
For each one of you, April 1st, what's the relationship now between your children and their dad? Amazing.
Absolutely amazing. It always has been, and through the process, it remained that way. And today it's bigger and stronger and healthier.
Vicki, same question.
Being that she was a teenager when she started going through the divorce process, there were some ups and downs, but she has a very strong relationship with her father, and which I also encouraged all the time, and he encourages her with me as well, and they travel together, they do events together all the time, just as I do with her. So she's grown into a woman who loves her father to this day as much as she did when she was 10 years old.
Okay, so people seeing this may think, okay, well, that's fine for those two women, they went through it. But a lot of people, maybe women more than men, might think, wait a minute, I have young children here, they really need to be with me, whatever the issues are in their case or the drama that they have. So a question comes up, I'll start with you, April. What do you say to people who might have a fear that going through this process, they're going to be giving up some time with their children or giving up part of the raising of their children?
Going through this process, once you start establishing some good co-parenting skills and a parenting plan, it's going to benefit. It's going to make life a lot easier on your kids. It truly is.
One of the things we both agreed about was that we were going to continue to raise her together as if we were in the same house. And as long as you still have communication with your ex-spouse and you talk to them about the problems that you may be having with your child during that time, things should go fairly easy because you're still communicating. You're still talking about her wants, her needs, and how it's best to meet them. Is it always easy? No, sometimes it's not. But overall, I think we did an excellent job in raising our daughter.
So you've both been divorced 4 years and 6 years. I'm going to guess that in the years since the divorce case, there have been some sort of issues or disagreements or problems.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Do you think, April, that the process of collaborative law gave you some tools or ability to deal with those crises that you might not have had if you litigated your case?
Absolutely.
Did you ever draw on those resources?
Yes. In fact, I have, and I know that my ex-husband has also in the past.
Did you ever go back and contact, after the divorce, did you ever contact any of the members of your collaborative team for any assistance?
We did actually with the child specialist, and that was pretty early on. But those tools were set there. They're still there if need be. And by having those tools, it really, really helped and got us through, got the kids through.
So now I'm going to ask you to draw on your general life's experience, because I'm imagining some people listening to what you're saying might think, well, that's fine, that would work for them. Look how responsible and how well they get along with their ex-spouse, and this must have been really easy. What about my case? What about the case where there's really some struggle and conflict? You've known other people who've gone through divorce, and you've heard the war stories and the tales of
Absolutely.
horror. So my question, do you imagine that this form of this model of going through a divorce, this collaborative process, do you think it might work for people who maybe don't sound quite as reasonable as you are, or as reasonable as your husbands or ex-husbands were?
I feel, and I've told my friends who have been contemplating divorce, this is the best way, because you got to remember what you're going to do if there are children involved and how you want to deal with those children. You want them to grow up healthy and happy, and if you go through a messy, ugly divorce, they're the ones that get hurt in the end. By going through the collaborative forum, you're able to sit down and talk and work together on what is best for you, for your spouse, and for those children, and what the future is for them as well, and for yourselves. Whereas in the courtroom, you're leaving it all up to a judge, and you have basically no say in what you want and what's best for your kids, because they don't know. They don't know your children or your family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts? Similar?
I would have to totally agree with that. Absolutely. Our main focus when we went through this process was the kids.
Do you have any thoughts? So someone is thinking about going through a divorce, and they're thinking, okay, collaborative is okay, and they've gone online and they found some sort of a resource, and now they have to deal with their current spouse. Mm-hmm. How did it go, either being approached by your spouse or approaching your spouse, of we're going to go through this and we're going to do this collaboratively? Any thoughts or ideas for people who might be watching of, Vicki, how do you approach your spouse and say, well, we ought to do this collaborative thing?
Well, he actually came to me with this and said, I think this would be the easiest and the safest for our daughter. Again, he didn't and I didn't want to go through the court system if we didn't have to, because there were issues, but we weren't battling each other. We weren't aggressive with each other, and we didn't want that. We're not conflicting people. And so it was just a little easier. And you don't have to do battle when you get divorced. You may not like the person that you're divorcing, but if you do it a collaborative way and with the resources that are now available, the whole family unit will come out healthier than going through the court system.
Yes.
That may be our best note, and maybe our note to close on. Thank you very much for appearing with us today. We appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the series, How to Get a Divorce. This has been a production by Collaborative Divorce Solutions of Orange County. If you'd like more information, you may do a word search on the internet for mediation or collaborative divorce. You may go to the website for Collaborative Divorce Solutions of Orange County. That's www.cdsoc.com. We appreciate you taking the time to watch the program. My name is John Ellingson. Thank you.